What a glorious way to open the 2024-25 campaign as Bayern München are down in Tegernsee to continue gearing up for a season in which they want to get back to their title-winning best. Charged with delivering silverware, Vincent Kompany is the new man at the helm. He may be shorn of several star players, but today is a first look at the Belgians' vision as Bayern take on 9th tier Rottach-Egern, a side they beat 27-0 just over a year ago. Servus and welcome to Bayern's coverage of the first pre-season match of the 2024-25 campaign. James Thorogood, your match commentator. We are less than a month away from the first competitive game of the season. But before then, it's time to brush off some of those summer cobwebs. For now, our pitchside reporter Martin Sedlacek has been catching up with sporting director Christoph Freund to get his thoughts on Bayern's training camp in Tegernsee. Christoph, thank you very much for your time. Bayern are the visitors in their own home, in their own backyard here in the picturesque region of Tegernsee. For many of the coaches, this is a new experience in the mountains, but for you, it's something that you're familiar with. Yeah, we've had a fantastic reception so far, wonderful conditions, wonderful hotel, and we're looking forward to a wonderful time here. So the pre-season preparations have been going on for 10 days now, and last 3 days here in Tegernsee. What are your impressions and your impressions of the new head coach? Well, there's been a lot of energy, there's been a lot of passion, and I think everyone is really enjoying themselves and looking forward to coming to training. The fact that we've been able to create this togetherness is fantastic, and the fact is it's been an intense period of training already, and in terms of the head coach and his coaching staff, he's made a really good impression so far. The fact is, he and his training staff, Vincent Kompany, were up in the mountains recently. Did you give him any tips, seeing as you know the mountains well? The fact is, yes, many of the coaching staff weren't born in the mountains like I was, but the fact is it was a very nice hike up the mountains, and the fact is we made it all the way to the summit as well, and the fact is it was a fun day out. It was very physical. Some people felt it the next day, but it was a wonderful experience. In terms of what people are feeling as well, it's been an intense start to pre-season preparations. Talking about the squad, how is the squad looking out? So the players that have been in training are all fit, with the exception of Serge Gnabry and Alexander Pavlovic. That's due to wanting to reduce their workload in pre-season. When it comes to the European Championship players, they'll be returning in the next coming weeks. The Germany players, Joao Paulinho and Konrad Leim, will be back on Friday. And when it comes to the pre-season preparations, the youth squad as well, they're playing a big role, and the connection with the academy is so important. What are your impressions so far of the young players? The fact is they're making a great impression so far. There's been a wonderful moment for them to be involved with the first team in conditions like this. But the coaching staff are really taking them under their wings as well, and they are really collecting a lot of valuable experiences. The campus professionals, the academy graduates are so important. Why is it so important to the club to not force it? Well, it's an important building block for the future for a club like Bayern München, and we want them to gain as much experience as they can with us. We've got a wonderful future, a wonderful campus, and I think I'm convinced that in the next couple of years we're going to be taking some very positive steps. Oh, thank you there to Christoph Freund, the sporting director, for giving us his thoughts on a number of topics. We are expected to see a fair few of the young players he was talking about there making an appearance today. There he is on the right of your screen, the board director of Sport, Max Abel, on the left, and honorary president Uli Hoeneß in the middle. All interested onlookers this afternoon. And we do have some glorious conditions, it has to be said, down in Tegernsee. The sun has come out. We've got just under 3,000 fans in attendance. for this first pre-season friendly of the 2024-25 campaign. A wonderful backdrop for now. Let's take a look at the team news, starting with Bayern München. Vincent Kompany has plenty of star power at his disposal. He's balanced it out with a smattering of youth players. Sven Ulreich starts behind a three-man backline of Mazraoui, Dyer and Josip Stanisic, the only current Bundesliga winner on the Bayern books. In midfield, Guerrero, Goretzka are joined by Javier Fernandez and Gabriel Vidovic. We've got Brian Zaragoza on one flank and Adin Litzina on the other, with Matthijs Tel leading the line against the side he scored 5 against last season. And as mentioned, Alexander Pavlovic and Serge Gnabry missing out on today's action due to a desire to reduce their workload in pre-season. Don't want to overdo it in the early stages of the preparations for the coming campaign. Something tells me, though, both will have a big part to play next season. As for our hosts today, Rottach-Egern head coach Bernhard Gruber handing out some of the most coveted starting bursts of his coaching career. Mario Weiss is the man charged with trying to keep the scoreline as respectable as possible between the sticks. Captain Franz Pietzko, a policeman by trade, will be holding down the fort in midfield. Up front, hoping to get a sniff in front of goal, are the strikers Tobias Schlichtner and Lukas Petzold. This, though, a team made up of part-time footballers whose professions range from being students doing their master's degrees to handymen. There are certainly no strangers to the hard work needed to be put in. And the next 90 minutes and maybe a little bit of change are certainly going to be hard work for these Rottach-Egern players. As mentioned, it was this time last season that Bayern came down to Tegernsee and they picked up a thumping 27-0 win against these plucky outsiders, this small-town club. Jamal Musiala, Marcel Sabitzer and Matthijs Tel all scored 5 goals apiece in that game. Serge Gnabry bagged a hat-trick. Meanwhile, there are also goals from Alphonso Davies, Konrad Laimer, Noussair Mazraoui, Dayo Upamecano, Leroy Sané, Rafael Guerrero, Ryan Gravenberch, Kingsley Coman and Sadio Mane as well. Of course, not all of those names are on the Bayern books anymore. Nevertheless, this is still a star-studded encounter for these Rottach-Egern players that are simply just not used to meeting teams of this caliber or anywhere near Bayern's caliber, all truth be told. Nevertheless, this is such a highlight for them. The aim to keep things as respectable as possible, but Bayern, as they've proven in the past, they are not ones to take any mercy. It really is a gorgeous backdrop to this pre-season friendly, with just under 3,000 fans in attendance, hoping to get a glimpse of some of the star players, but the likes of Bernie, the mascot as well, is always a fan favourite, it has to be said. He plays his part in drumming up the hype, does Bernie. He was an interested onlooker during some of Bayern's recent training sessions as well. They have had 3 all told since coming down to Tegernsee 2 days ago. He may have joined us for the first live stream in their first training session in front of the fans down south. Today's 2 training sessions were a little bit more private. And as a result, now ultimately the warm-up for tonight's encounter. A chance to see Bayern in action for the first time with Vincent Kompany as their head coach. Taking over after Bayern's first trophyless season since 2012, and as a result, arguably has one of the blankest slates a new Bayern head coach could wish for. In many ways, the only way is up. But believe you me, when Bayern get knocked down, they certainly get back up again. And arguably, a wounded Bayern can sometimes be the most dangerous Bayern. These players will be hungry to get themselves back amongst the silverware this season. And this simply the first step in a long campaign that they hope will end with their hands on at least one trophy, if not more. Because, of course, there is something quite special on offer for Bayern this season, lest we forget. Yes, they want to get the Bundesliga title and the DFB Pokal title back off Bayer Leverkusen, but they also have a chance to compete in another Champions League final on home soil at the Allianz Arena. It will be no easy feat to get there, but that is ultimately the dream. A nice mix of established names and a few young players as well. The youngsters to keep your eyes on. Javier Fernandez, the holding midfielder, the young 17-year-old, his fellow 17-year-old, Adin Licina. And then Gabriel Vidovic as well, Vincent Kompany, giving them a chance to maybe catch the eye, but the same could be said of the established players. They too want to catch the eye of Vincent Kompany. They too want to stake an early claim in his plans for this season. Our referees today, Michael Bacher, assisted by Max Hafeneder and Marcel Becher. Leon Goretzka, not a part of the Germany squad for Euro 2024. But again, one of those players that this season will have a real point to prove in those wonderful new kits that Bayern brought out at the end of last season. Admittedly, a commentator's nightmare when it comes to figuring out whose number is on the back of whose shirt, especially from a distance. But in the fashion stakes, they're certainly one of the better ones that Bayern have brought out in recent seasons. These three-tone red ensemble. Sven Ulreich, the man between the sticks with Manuel Neuer, yet to return along with many of the Euro 2024 participants. But it is Rottach-Egern who get us underway in the first pre-season friendly of the 2024-25 campaign. What a glorious backdrop to do it to. What a glorious way to open the season. As Bayern München are down in Tegernsee to continue gearing up for a season in which they want to get back to their title-winning best. And they've got a new man in charge in Vincent Kompany. Here today, our first look at potentially his vision for this Bayern side, and already looking to assert themselves early. An early chance for the opener, put just wide in the end. Bayern starting on the front foot. Starting as they mean to go on with Gabriel Vidovic with the first chance of the game. His last appearance for Bayern in a competitive fixture, Vidovic, was back in August of 2022. It was a 7-0 win against Bochum. Since then, he's had loan spells with Vitesse in the Eredivisie in Holland and with Dinamo Zagreb in his native Croatia. But a big emphasis at the start of this season has been put on Bayern's connection with the academy. They want to be producing more talents, more first-team regulars. Think of the players like Thomas Müller, David Alaba, Philipp Lahm that have come through the ranks recently, making their impact on the modern success of this Bayern side. Early delivery in for Matisse Tell to attack, and it was spilled initially by Mario Weiss, but he managed to gobble it up at the second attempt. It was a teasing delivery that Tell almost made the most of. The 35-year-old goalkeeper for Rottach-Egern, equal to the first effort on target that we've had from this Bayern side. But make no mistake about it, expect the chances to get racked up today by the men in red. Mercy will not be shown as Mazraoui, lovely pass. Another chance for Vidovic, another save for Weiss. Rottach-Egern, it's easy to say, but they need a little bit of calm in their performance in moments like that. But Mario Weiss knew he was going to be in for a busy evening. And so it is proving thus far. Oh, nice little 1-2. Zaragoza outside of the boot pass that went right into that channel between keeper and back line, but no one in red ready to pounce. He is one of those players that will be hoping to maybe get a new lease of life under Vincent Kompany after a tough first half a season in trying circumstances. After joining from Granada, here he is on the ball again, the silver-haired Spaniard, sporting that new look at the start of the new season. Bayern having to work it in tight spaces. And a loose touch there from Licina, just letting him down, the young 17-year-old. Licina, who only made his debut for the Bayern reserves team on the final day of last season. He did make the most of that opportunity, grabbing a goal against Eintracht Bamberg. It's one of the numbers in the middle now for Mazraoui to aim for. Fernandez weaving his way through the Spaniard. Lovely close control. Got caught by a leg, decided not to go down, looking for a penalty, and now Rottach-Egern are on the counter-attack. Unfortunately, Tobias Schlichner not breaking the offside trap. And as a result, it is a free kick to Bayern. Vincent Kompany bringing a bit of a new look and a fresh approach to things at Bayern. There have been some speakers blaring out some of the Ibiza beats from the summer in an aim to make the warm-up phase of training a little bit more enjoyable for the players, to make it less of a chore. On top of that, if you've been tuning into any of the live training sessions that have been running on Bayern München's various channels, then you'll have seen that he is very much in the thick of the action when it comes to training. Not operating as a player in the drills, but he takes the position of a central midfielder to get the best view of proceedings. Tell sees a shot blocked. We'll get the first corner of the game to Bayern. Rafael Guerreiro, one of the players that missed out on the Euros through injury. Back fit again, whipping this one in. The danger dealt with. Oh, a little bit of a handball there, perhaps, from Gabriel Vidovic. The pressure mounting. Rottach-Egern can sense it as well. But for a ninth-tier side playing in the lowest tier of German football, it's not easy to relinquish the pressure. Licina trying to make something happen. Ball has sprung loose. Back out to Mazraoui. Clipped in, back post. Matisse Tell is off the bar. Well, that time, the Rottach-Egern goalkeeper Mario Weiss was beaten. But Tell sees his header come back off the crossbar. Nevertheless, Matisse Tell looking lively, as he always does when he's on a football pitch. Zaragoza now with the ball in. Guerreiro's shot blocked. Juggling in the Rottach-Egern box and then fist towards goal, but over in the end. Well, Bayern ever so close to the opening goal. Mathys Tel, the man who scored 5 times in the 27-0 win for Bayern against Rottach-Egern last season. Agonizingly close to opening his account against them again here today. A lot of the training drills that Vincent Kompany and his new training staff have been putting these Bayern players through have been all focused on dealing with pressure being applied, working the ball in tight spaces when it comes to breaking down deep-lying backlines, and that's exactly what Rottach-Egern are giving them in terms of a look right now in the opening exchanges. But then what less can you expect really from a 9th-tier side? Most of this game is about damage limitation, about not being overawed by the situation, and maybe even creating a moment and a memory to cherish for a lifetime for one of these players. They didn't get a goal last time out, but if I'm not mistaken, there was a chance or two for those in blue. But these are students and handymen and salt of the earth part-time footballers that have other professions that take their focus away as well. Talk about focus, he is the picture of focus, Vincent Kompany. I think he would have wanted his side to have opened the scoring already, but I would hazard a guess that the scoreline is of secondary importance today for Vincent Kompany. This is really about setting the tone in pre-season in the first friendly of the summer. And here they are on the move again. Mazraoui taking on his man, driving well towards goal, and again it was Mathys Tel with the opportunity. This time at an awkward height. Seemed to be caught between two minds. Does he go with his head or maybe even with a knee or a leg, and in the end didn't quite get the purchase on the aerial effort that he was hoping for. Mathys Tel, who had a really good season, you have to say, in terms of expectation levels for an 18 going on now 19-year-old. 41 appearances, many of them off the bench, but 10 goals, 6 assists in all competitions. Those don't include the 5 he scored against Rottach-Egern in the 27-0 win. Mazraoui, once again, able to sweep towards the penalty area. Weiss with 2 hands on the ball, and his backline obliges in producing the clearance. Dyer with a header that had an element of danger to it, but well dealt with. His performances at the back end of last season had people wondering whether he might even be called into Gareth Southgate's Euro 2024 squad. Certainly impressed with Bayern. Now Tel glides past one challenge, but Mario Weiss did enough to get some purchase on the ball to prevent him getting a shot off. But Bayern's first goal and that of Mathys Tel seems only like a matter of time right now. Fernandez and Vidovic, the 2 young midfielders combining. Vidovic, neat little turn. It's going to come back to him now, and the effort straight at Weiss, who is able to gather at the second attempt. Once again, Guerrero applied the pressure, but Weiss dealing with the danger. Josip Stanisic into Goretzka. That might be a combination we do see throughout this campaign. There are plenty of questions for the new head coach, Vincent Kompany, to answer when it comes to his potential starting lineup. As Matisse Tell strikes, Weiss spills, but again, enough to keep it out. And right now, Bayern need to start finding the corners with some of these efforts. They're coming from a variety of different positions, from a variety of different in-game scenarios. They are knocking on the door. But right now, Mario Weiss is nearing double digits in terms of saves made so far. And Bayern are willing to take that element of risk with their high line. Eric Dyer, Josip Stanisic, Nusayr Mazraoui are the three-man back line, but admittedly Mazraoui is not playing like a right-sided centre-back, but as an extra option on the right wing. And that was something that Vincent Kompany said in his pre-match press conference back on Monday. When asked about a potential system for Bayern, he said, really, football nowadays is not about systems anymore. He said it's all about knowing the player profiles and their best positions and then staying aligned with the analysis as much as possible. Potentially suggesting there might be a little bit more freedom in Bayern's shape under the Belgian. They're having to get intricate here with their attempts to work the channels. Dyer, piercing pass. Vidovic earning Bayern another corner. Bayern looking to take this quickly. Guerrero. Again, the ball landing in the arms of Mario Weiss, whose long ball is actually dealt with by the man whose shot he just saved, Rafael Guerrero. Wonderful defensive retreat there just to prevent Rottach-Egern getting a look in on goal there. Let's go Bayern, let's go is the chant from some of the younger fans in attendance. It's nice to hear them talking to the stadium announcer down here in Tegernsee, who was asking them whether they were going to make some atmosphere, and they were really excited about seeing some of their star players, who are again kept at bay by Mario Weiss. Vidovic is, just like Matisse Tell, racking up the chances. A young Croatian who, after those two loan spells in recent campaigns, would really love to stake a claim in Bavaria. Zaragoza. Oh, curls one. Oh, fantastic save from Mario Weiss there for the second time this evening. Bayern hit the bar. A moment of ingenuity there from Brian Zaragoza. A little shimmy and a shake from the Spaniard. Tried to open up his body. Guerrero now with an effort blocked. And Zaragoza is a live wire. Difficult for top-tier backlines to deal with in terms of his agility, speed, trickery. And here he goes again. Final touch comes off of him, so it will go out for a goal kick. He, of course, was meant to join Bayern this summer, Brian Zaragoza, but it was only due to the plethora of injuries that Bayern suffered in the first half of the season that forced the club's hand a little bit, and as a result, they moved the transfer forward from Granada. The Spanish club lining their coffers with a little extra bonus to make the deal happen a little bit earlier. Zaragoza had his moments off the bench, but a tough time acclimatizing to life in Munich. Not a lot of English or German in his locker. But the fact is, when he has a ball at his feet, he is someone that immediately looks to make things happen. Still yet to get his first goal for the club, having made 7 appearances, but there were chances in the second half of last season. Mazraoui on the overlap. Looks to get cute with it, and another opportunity flashing off target as Tell looks like he's been caught in the mix. Always one of those moments you'd love to know what's going on in the mind of a head coach like Vincent Kompany. A man who is fully aware of what it takes to be successful at the highest level. Relatively unproven as a head coach, having only been in the business for 4 years in that role, but an illustrious playing career that produced its fair share of silverware. Couple of league titles in Belgium with Anderlecht. 4 Premier League titles with Manchester City. 4 League Cups and 2 FA Cups as well. It was Max Abel, the board director of sport, when talking about Vincent Kompany, described him as Pep's extended arm on the pitch at Manchester City, and as a result, he may only have 4 years of coaching experience, but he said in his head, in Vincent Kompany's head, he's been a coach for 8, 9, or even maybe 10 years now. In the way he has operated in his previous role at centre-back. Bayern really with an embarrassment of riches in his former position. You'd hope that he can certainly get that best out of the likes of Eric Dyer, Matthijs de Ligt, Dai Upamecano, Min-Jae Kim, Josip Stanisic, Fernandez. Nice first touch, neat second to find Vidovic, back to Zaragoza, who clips it in, and Goretzka had made that late run into the box, a trademark of his. But the ball just a little above his reach. Stanisic out to Mazraoui, into feet for Tell, but so little room to work with for the Frenchman. Mazraoui then shapes the shot nicely, but digs that foot underneath it. Sends the ball into the crowd. Just under 3,000 fans here in attendance in Tegernsee, just south of Munich, one of the more picturesque regions of Bavaria, in the foothills of the Alps. Patience being required of this Bayern side. Guerrero, once again getting inventive with his ambitious passes forward. When it comes to technical ability, few boast more than the Portuguese defender and midfielder. One of those players that would have been wondering maybe what his role would be under Vincent Kompany, but already the early indication is it will be in midfield. Rafael Guerreiro, 30 years old. Former European champion in 2016 with Portugal. Here to take the third corner of the game for Bayern. Flicked on. Tell will keep it in play. Wasn't a bad delivery from the Frenchman, but again, Rottach-Egern just holding their own. Now Guerreiro, lovely take, and Weiss, another magnificent save. Still the chance alive here for Bayern. They want that first goal. They keep coming ever so close. That clinical touch right now continues to evade them. Well, that's a lovely pass from Fernandez. Litzina, lovely turn, lovely take, lovely goal! And it's one of the youngsters that opens the scoring. Adin Litzina, the 17-year-old who scored on his debut for the reserve team at the end of last season. Now in his first ever appearance amongst Bayern's senior players, he once again capitalises on the opportunity. And the goal that Bayern had been waiting for comes in the 24th minute. A fine finish it was. He might get another here. Oh, talk about a quick fire double. A matter of seconds between the goals for Dean Litzina. Coolly taken the second as well, just like the first. And this is where Bayern might start to turn the screws. Rottach-Egern's resistance has been broken. But they cannot afford to collapse in the same manner that they did last season when they suffered a 27-0 loss here. But after having to wait so long for the first goal, two come in quick succession. Third on the offing, not quite. Clearance, not so convincing. Oh, Javier Fernandez. Well, my goodness. You can see why they think so highly of him in Bayern circles. Some magnificent touches, lovely composure, pristine passing so far. 17 years old, but you can see he's got the physical presence a holding midfielder needs. The man with the number 33 on the back of his shirt. Here on the ball again. Look at that for a pass into feet for Goretzka. 1-2, Goretzka's through. Goretzka tees up Tell. It's 3-0 Bayern. And just like that, the floodgates have opened in Tegernsee. Oh, this was supreme passing to break down what has been a stubborn Rottach-Egern side so far. And Mathys Tell, who got 5 goals this time last season, gets his first of what might turn out to be a long evening for the home side. Space out wide on the left. Dear me, the less said about that goal, the better. The reaction from Mario Weiss said it all. You could hear the pain in his voice as he realised he'd spilled that and allowed Mathys Tell to poke home. So after a quick-fire double from Litzina, we get a quick-fire double from Mathys Tell, who I think will claim that goal in the end. And Bayern, like a shark in the water, sensing blood, looking for a fifth. And now Mario Weiss can calm things down a little bit. Again, it's difficult as a team full of part-time footballers to try and collect yourself in the midst of a Bayern onslaught. Mathys Tel has been credited with the second goal, but now the chance for Rottach-Egern, who have a goal back. Tobias Schlichner with a memory to cherish for a lifetime. Their resistance is broken at one end, but they've remained stubborn enough to get a goal at the other, Rottach-Egern. And it is the striker, Tobias Schlichner. A big hint of handball in the build-up there, but we have no video assistant referee. And in the grand scheme of things, in a game like tonight, a slight handball in a likely consolation effort for the home side is something that we can all swallow. But having had to wait so long for the opening goal, 5 now have been scored between the 24th and the 29th minute of this game. Remarkable stuff. We knew there were going to be goals in this game, there was no doubt about that. But the fact that they've just come in such quick succession was not to be reckoned with. Oh, those are the moments as a youngster, though. You can't just give up on a ball like that. You could hear Mathys Tel urging Licina to keep running. Now Goretzka bursting into the box again, looking for the cutback, this time denied. And this is where it's so difficult for a 9th tier team like Rottach-Egern. Given so much for the opening exchanges to provide such a stubborn resistance against this star-studded Bayern team. And now, after playing to intensity levels they're not used to, already a few tired legs will be being felt. They are not used to being put under this amount of pressure, to facing this onslaught, to chasing shadows in the way they have to today. Bayern, there is a real zip to their passing at times. Goretzka certainly providing a big link in midfield as well as a man who can break up Rottach-Egern's attempts to break the lines. There again, a loose pass from the home team. Selling them short, and now Tel, edge of the area. Finding Licina with the chance to score his hat-trick. He was looking for that bottom corner again, but Mario Weiss got a toe to the ball to poke it beyond the post. Corner taken quickly and short. Chance initially comes to nothing, but Bayern quickly winning possession back. Of course, for a pre-season friendly like this, we don't have official possession statistics, but you've got to think upwards of 75% for Bayern so far. Zaragoza finding his fellow Spaniard, Javier Fernandez, or Javi, as he likes to be known. Stanisic to Goretzka. No long shots needed. Licina, Mazraoui on the turn. A lovely effort that just tucks it into the bottom corner. Away from the reach of Mario Weiss and Noussair Mazraoui, who was in amongst the goals in the 27-0 win last season. Once again, back amongst them here today. He gets Bayern's 5th. On another evening where we are asking the question of how many will Bayern score
He's only ever scored once in competitive action in his Bayern career, Nusayr Mazraoui, the Moroccan international, 3-time Eredivisie champion with Ajax. That goal coming in a game against Schalke back in May of 2023. His name pops up on the score sheet in pre-season friendlies, or even mid-season friendlies as well, it has to be said. Now Zaragoza, deflected effort, could have been dangerous, drifting behind for yet another Bayern corner. Again, something that they have started to rack up in this first half. Now, we did have some blue skies and sunshine earlier. Now you can see the weather starting to turn. Guerrero drifts this one into the back post. Tell able to hold off the challenge and bring the ball down on his chest initially. Now looking to get past Yilmaz'a, and does well, as it's another set piece for those in red. Many of them have been taken short in a bid to maybe change the angle or try and break down this Rottach-Egern side in a different manner. Vidovic, Guerrero. Strong challenge from Vidovic there, and Fernandez is going to chance his arm from range. Well, having seen his fellow 17-year-old Nicina bag a brace already, Fernandez thought, why not try and get my name in amongst the goals as well. Something tells me we're not going to see a lot of shots from long distance from Bayern today. That really is not the aim of the game. It's not what Vincent Kompany, the new head coach, wants to see. As a former centre-back, he certainly won't be happy with the goal conceded. Looking for their sixth. Weiss has come, he hasn't got there. And Tell couldn't quite squeeze the ball through all the blue shirts in the box. Now, lovely footwork from the Frenchman. At one point, it did look like he was potentially going to go to the Olympics with the French under-23 team, led by legendary striker Thierry Henry. But Bayern wanted to keep him around for pre-season preparations. One of their new summer signings is on to make his Olympics debut tonight, no less. Michael Olise, the man signed from Crystal Palace, should be in action with France against the United States later this evening, as Mazraoui with a free header that he can't guide on target. So if you want to get a close look at one of Bayern's summer signings, then tune in to the first game of the Olympics football tournament. Fair to say, Olise brings a lot of excitement and promise with him. 16 goals in 90 appearances for Crystal Palace, but last season, 10 goals, 6 assists in 19 outings. Injuries did play their part in that. But if Bayern can keep him fit, then they really have a gem on their hands in the young Frenchman. João Paulinho and Hiroki Ito are the other two major signings made by Bayern so far this summer. The other was the signing of the young Australian international, Nestori Irankunda, who has been catching the eye in training in recent weeks, it has to be said. Pre-season preparations for Bayern have been going on for about 10 days now, all told, in terms of when the first players started rocking up to Zeebener Strasse once again. We are still without the players that made it to the knockout stages of Euro 2024. Plenty of big names still on display here today. Matthijs Tell is one of them, battling away here. Mazraoui, blocked by Weiss. Goretzka looking to keep Bayern on the front foot, which they are. Tell looking to turn provider. Does well to hold off the challenge. Fernandez. Goretzka and Guerrero can't quite work it in tight spaces. Now Vidovic! Oh, that's another magnificent save from Mario Weiss. It might be 5-1 to Bayern, but without Mario Weiss, we would be in double digits already, truth be told. And some of the saves have been routine, some of the efforts have been right at him, but there have been now a handful that have been saves of the highest quality produced by the man between the sticks, the 35-year-old goalkeeper Mario Weiss for Rottach-Egern. Header won at the back there by Lukas Petzold, the striker. In the end, Rottach-Egern with the goal kick now. He's calling for his side to set up there, Vincent Kompany. Of course, he was asked in his press conference about the influence of Pep Guardiola. Called him the most special, if not one of the most special coaches of a generation. Says he has immense respect for him. Says, yes, there's an influence, but it's important to go his own way. Bayern going their own way right now as Vidovic. One dummy too many in the end. Inside the Rottach-Egern penalty area. Mazraoui. Out to Latino once again. Goretzka. A lovely passing here from Bayern. They've bundled their way through in the end, and it will be tapped home in the end by Mathys Tel, who has his hat-trick after a quick-fire double earlier, broken up. By an effort from Vidovic, who was heavily involved there in the build-up play. Fernandez wouldn't mind getting in amongst the goals himself, but Mathys Tel with a poacher's effort there to make it 6-1 to Bayern. Now, Rottach-Egern will certainly be able to look back on this first half and say, well, we made an improvement to this time last season, because this time last season they were 18-0 down at half-time. By comparison, 6-1 looks incredibly respectable. And it could have been about 18-0 if it was not for that man, Mario Weiss, the goalkeeper. Tel on the turn into the box. Another tap in. This time it's for Rafael Guerrero. That goal gets a thumbs up from Guerrero because it was all of the making of Mathys Tel. Says he's most comfortable on the wing, where he feels he can influence play in terms of setting up teammates and getting goals himself, Mathys Tel. Certainly showing off those talents once again here today. Mathys Tel becoming the absolute nightmare of this Rottach-Egern side. Of course, Jamal Musiala, who also scored 5 last season in the 27-0 win. Not back from Euros duty with Germany when they got knocked out by Spain in rather heartbreaking circumstances in the quarterfinals. Marcel Sabitzer no longer on the Bayern books. And so of the 3 players that scored 5 times against Rottach-Egern last season, Mathys Tel is the only remaining one on the Bayern books. And once again, with 3 goals and an assist now, is ripping Rottach-Egern apart. As are Bayern. And they've got more to their name, Rottach-Egern, than they did all of last season after the goal from Schlichner. Here he is, going to give chase again against Josip Stanisic, and unfortunately doesn't quite have the physical presence to be able to withhold the challenge. He is quite lanky and thin in frame. Josip Stanisic has a bit more muscle to him. Zaragoza, just a bag of tricks this evening, isn't he? You know, Company talked about bringing new players in because he absolutely believes that they can be as successful, if not more successful, than their predecessors. Said it was important to bring a bit of new energy into the club as well. And as mentioned, 3 major signings made already. Hiroki Ito, something tells me we'll see the Japanese centre-back in action in the second half. João Paulinho, of course, has not returned yet from Euros duty himself. And Olise, as I mentioned, the man signed from Crystal Palace, currently on duty with the French under-23s at the Olympics that get underway later tonight. Got to think France will harbour big ambitions of maybe getting the gold medal in that regard, and it certainly wouldn't be a bad way to turn up at your new club in the Bayern changing room as a gold medal winning winger. Ooh, Goretzka. That hurts. It hurts both players. Goretzka wanting to get the shot off. Doesn't get to the ball because an opponent's standing leg was right there to send a few shockwaves up the leg. And as a result, our referee is going to bring an early end to the first half action. Bayern 7-1 up at the break. It could have been more were it not for Rottach-Egern goalkeeper Mario Weiss. But plenty of players taking a chance to catch the eye under new head coach Vincent Kompany, who has seen a good first half from his side. He'll be disappointed with conceding, but it's 7-1 at the break. Let's have a look at the first half highlights, of which there were a fair few. There would have been more were it not for that man in black. Matthijs Tel has had his fair share. Meanwhile, a little concern for Leon Goretzka and Fethullah Sortsoglu in terms of whether they'll be able to brush off the knock. Now, a quick fire look at all the Bayern goals. 7 in total from the first half. Some good ones, some where Rottach-Egern will kick themselves for making it too easy. We had to wait a long time for the first goal. It wasn't until the 24th minute, but then they all came in quick succession. And it means that Bayern lead by 7-1 at half-time of their first pre-season friendly of the 2024-25 campaign. And now a chance to look at some of Vincent Kompany's first days with the club.
So manage that distance so you can always be aggressive, boys. Bam, 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 bam. This one is going to, as little touches as possible, put them off balance, play a little bit, you know. We tend to go left, go right, we tend to go right, go left. Be playful with the ball. Yeah, that's it, play it out, play it out. Yeah. Okay. Good to see you. Habla. Wie geht's? Ja.
Ja, das ist besser. Gut so. Wenn es entschieden wird, nämlich noch.
First of all, I'm coming here, I'm getting to meet everyone. I just want to say how pleased I am to see you guys as well, the young players. I always think it's such a beautiful stage of your career. You know, sometimes it's difficult to realize it, but trust me, you have the best job in the world.
At the history, yes, let's go.
Hello, Antonia. Nice to meet you. Also die Freude ist schon da. Aber am Freitag war eigentlich nicht der erste Tag. Das war noch immer Urlaub für die Spieler, aber die haben selbst entschieden, schneller zurückzukommen. Das ist natürlich schön. Die erste gute Leistung von dieser Saison. Gut.
Hoffentlich nicht die letzte.
Come to me. I'm gonna try and stay out of the water. We have a lot of the ball this season, and for me that's sort of the base, right? Our kids.
Keepers, you know your position, you can go over there.
Nice, Sasha.
Yes,
Nice.
yes, well done. Good, perfect, perfect. Yes, yes, yes. Stay closer to the stick.
Let's go. Let's go. Open the pitch. Right. Yes. Yes, Sasha. Love it. Brilliant. Yes. Do you not speak German yet? I'm joking.
Servus. 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 Gut, und selber auch? Dann kann nichts mehr schief gehen.
In the middle zone. And you stay there for the first block, so you don't move. Flow! Yeah? Going! Yeah. On the side. Yes, Eric. Well done. Keep going, yellow. Come. Yeah. Stick together. Yes, Buffalo Orange. Let's go. Go, fast. Big pressure.
Zeige nochmal. Also ich verteidige. I'm defending now against the winger. The moment come to my line, I have to be sure that I'm on the line of the defender, or he has to, so that he is offside, or I have to adapt. Play to him. I go and I can be aggressive. So manage that distance so you can always be aggressive, boys. Yes.
Wait.
Good, Leon. Good, Leon. Come on. Lemieux, man, Mike. Lemieux, man. Good, Leon.
Yes!
Pressure.
Man Harvey, man Harvey. Fresh, fresh. 2, 1. Guys, cool down in the middle. Cool down in the middle. Yes. Next one. Yes. Yes. Let's go. Yeah.
But it's power in the game, Chris.
Have a great day. Spiel morgen. Yeah. Good luck and boys.
Danke. Dankeschön.
Stefan Schlichtner ist bei mir, der erste Vorstand vom FC Rottach-Egern. Stefan, servus.
Stefan Schlichtner is with
Alle
our
Jahre
sideline
wieder
reporter
ist
Martin
der FC Bayern zu
Sedlacek,
Gast,
a
trotzdem immer wieder was Besonderes,
board member
oder?
at Rottach-Eggern,
Ja, auf alle Fälle,
and
das ist immer
asked whether this
großartig.
is something
Man sieht ja
special
da
for
schon
his
die
side.
Kulisse, was
Yeah,
hier
this is
los
always
ist.
something
Und
incredible
tatsächlich dann
to
mit den
be
Stars auf
able to
Augenhöhe
meet
zu
these
reden, das ist
stars
auch immer
on the
eine tolle
pitch
Sache.
in front
Die sind
of
echt super drauf,
a
gehen
lovely
mit uns ganz
turnout like
toll
this.
Jetzt
We
mal
think it's
wieder
always wonderful
echter Highlight.
to be able to enjoy this real highlight.
FC Rottach-Egern seit Geburt fast in
So
dir.
you've been
Seit wann bist du Mitglied?
Following
Ja, tatsächlich haben
Rottach-Eggern
jetzt,
since your birth.
5 oder 6
Since when have you
Jahren habe ich in
been
der F-Jugend angefangen?
member?
33, 34
In
Jahre
fact,
sowas
he
bin ich im
started
Verein und stets treu
at
geblieben
the
und
club
trage
back
ihn
in
in
the
meinem Herzen.
E-Jugend, F-Jugend in his
Muss man
very
aber auch
early
bei der Zeit,
days
die man hier investiert.
Und
before
dann
he'd even
das
hit
Spiel
double
gegen den
digits. And
FC
the fact
Bayern.
is he's invested a lot in this club.
Aktiv selber habe ich 3-mal gespielt und jetzt, wo
And
ich
he has
in
played
einer
against
anderen
Bayern
Form
himself
dabei
3
war,
times in his
tatsächlich muss ich jetzt mal kurz
previous
rechnen,
playing days.
4, 7 mit Mitarbeiten draußen hat man schon mit 13 Jahren, sage ich mal, angefangen. Also
The fact is, we've got many of the people involved with the club that have been involved since very early years. The ages of 4, 7, 10 is a very common story.
ja, super. Also ich bin top zufrieden. Die Jungs haben sich echt gut verkauft.
And in terms of the first half performance, he's very happy. Said that they sold themselves really well. Said we managed to hold the 0-0 in previous years a little bit longer, but very happy with the first half performance, and all the expectations are being met. So talk about it from the perspective of Rottach-Egern in terms of playing along today, but there's a point system in play today. So the team board members have all kind of come up with an idea in terms of who would be able to play and who wouldn't be able to play. There were a point system, and in training there were points on offer for different drills that were done, and there were lots of events in and around this game as well where they could earn points as well, where you could earn 2 points. And the 18 players that had the best points tallies are allowed to play here, and there are a couple of youth players as well to maybe soak up some of the atmosphere and take in the experience. And Tobias Schlichtner was the man who was in charge of the point system and said he was a pretty diligent distributor of the points. And he has the same last name. And he's actually the once removed cousin, or his great cousin. And as a result, there is a connection between the board member and Tobias Schlichtner, our goal scorer today. So the aim today was to score a goal and not concede more than 20 goals, and so far so good. He said my ambitions were a little bit different. I wasn't able to listen to everyone's pre-match ambitions, but fact is he took his chance well out on the pitch to be a Schlichtner. And I'm hoping that at the end of the day, there'll still just be a 1 in front of the Bayern tally on the scoreboard at the end of the game.
How do you think you're going to feel later tonight? There's a lot of excitement, of course, and a lot of tension that comes along with this. We put a lot of care into the way we organized it, but we saw as of Monday that things were going really well and going really smoothly, that we were well set up, and as a result it was a lot calmer in terms of my sleep patterns, and hoping I can go to bed tonight feeling that everything has run perfectly and that we've given a good account of ourselves as a small town club, and then things can get underway for our competitive season as well. And welcome back, everyone, to the banks of the Tegernsee, where we are taking in the first pre-season friendly of the 2024-25 campaign. Some of Bayern's new kits already have been snapped up by fans in attendance on display here, with just under 3,000 supporters coming out on what is a glorious evening in southern Bavaria to see these Bayern stars in action. And they've had a fair bit to cheer about after a 8-goal first half. We had to wait until the 24th minute for the opening effort, but then the goals flowed freely after that. 8 went the way of Bayern, 1 going the way of plucky Rottach-Egern, the 9th tier side, who are trying to make a name for themselves, but ultimately know that they have very little to lose on an occasion like this, and so much to gain in the fact that they even got themselves on the score sheet through their striker, Tobias Schlichner. That ultimately a huge success. It should be said that there was a big handball in the goal for Rottach-Egern that was not spotted by the referees and his assistants. We can tell you there are going to be big changes at half-time. Wholesale ones, in fact. Young 18-year-old goalkeeper Max Schmidt will take his position between the sticks. Vincent Manuba, Min-jae Kim, and our first summer signing sighting, Hiroki Ito, make up the back three. Noel Aseko Nkili, Sadat Mudasa, Arihon Ibrahimovic, and Jonathan Asp Jensen make up the midfield diamond. You've got Adam Asnu on the left wing, you've got Sasha Boe on the right wing, and leading the line in place of the hat-trick goal scorer from the first half, Matisse Tell, it is the young Australian Nestori Irankunda. For many Bayern fans, this might be the first look at the young Australian who was signed or had his signature announced about halfway through last season. Was able to complete the campaign with Adelaide United, and now moving to Munich in the summer, where he's hoping to make an instant impact. Knows it's going to be difficult to establish himself in the Bayern pecking order under Vincent Kompany. But already you saw in training there were a couple of times that Kompany really took him under his wing, had a moment just to share a bit of advice and a few words in terms of positioning, in terms of movement off the ball as well. But that being said, Vincent Kompany has done that with so many of these Bayern players. He made a real point of making sure he spent a little bit of time with each of them in training to share his vision for not just how Bayern are going to play as a collective, but how he wants them to interpret their roles on an individual level as well. And Irankunda, I don't think we can expect him to break into the Bayern senior squad. This season, but nevertheless, he will be hoping to at least gain invaluable experiences with this Bayern senior squad. And there are so many players he can learn from, Harry Kane chief amongst them. And it is Irankunda who gets the ball rolling for this second half. An 8-goal first half, 7 goals for Bayern, 1 for Rottach-Egern. The aim for many amongst the Rottach-Egern camp was to keep the goal scoring as low as possible. They want to keep it below 20 this year, having conceded 27 last year. And so far they are on course to achieve their ambitions. Min-jae Kim, the man with the captain's armband for this second half now. The South Korean here on the ball, combining with his new Japanese centre-back partner, Hiroki Ito, signed from Stuttgart in the summer. Stuttgart, who were so impressive last season under former Bayern reserve head coach Sebastian Hoeneß, actually pipping Bayern to the post into second place on the final match day of the season after Bayern suffered a disappointing 4-2 loss to Hoffenheim
that really was synonymous with their Bundesliga campaign. In the Champions League, they went to the semi-finals where it was an agonizing heartbreak. The defeat to Real Madrid, the eventual winners. We could have had an all-German final once again in Wembley between Borussia Dortmund and Bayern as Hiroki Ito gets his first shot off as a Bayern player. However, Bayern denied by Los Blancos in the cruelest of fashions. I go back to a quote from Leon Goretzka. He said, "When Alphonso Davies scored and I looked up at you, the fans, and I felt the energy, I was certain that we'd be going to the final. Then everything changed. Football showed its most brutal side that evening. Nevertheless, your support has been insane. Thank you so much. We will be back." And Bayern, of course, have the ambition of going not just back to the semi-finals, but one better than last season, because they would love to get to the final of the Champions League. It would be a special occasion as it will be held at the Allianz Arena in Munich. So a chance, like in 2012, to compete in a Champions League final on home soil at the Allianz Arena. Of course, no one needs reminding of how heartbreaking the first Finale de Home was, but maybe Finale de Home 2.0 could serve Bayern better. A long way to go, though. That is the dream. It was club president Herbert Heine who said the biggest challenge facing Bayern is that they must continue to follow the Bayern path without major investors, as Mario Weiss makes his first save of the second half. Sadat Mudassar ghosting into a pocket of space. Bayern, though, picking up where they left off at the start of this second half. Camped out inside the Rottach-Egern half with everyone in blue behind the ball for the most part. Bayern's substitutes at half-time, all 11 of them getting early touches of the ball. Just to make a correction as well, we said that it was Max Schmidt, the young 18-year-old goalkeeper who came on at half-time for Sven Ulreich. It wasn't. Instead, it was Anthony Pavlicic. Worth holding our hands up and correcting the mistake there. Hiroki Ito. Out to Asnu. Asnu, who featured in the matchday squad for Bayern 6 times last season, but was an unused sub on every occasion. Ibrahimovic to Ito. Weiss with a foot to the ball. Another turn. Ito with the shot into the side netting. Well, he's been brought in to bolster the defensive ranks, Hiroki Ito. So far, since coming on at half-time, it's been all about his attacking input. Just in case you're wondering as well about the mark on his eyebrow, his right eyebrow, Hiroki Ito. It's no form of injury or anything like that, but he does suffer from the skin disorder, vitiligo. People might be familiar with the term, given the fact that it was what Michael Jackson, the former pop star, suffered. Ibrahimovic with the high press, backed up by Adam Asnu, the 18-year-old Moroccan youth international, though has represented Spain at under-17 level as well. So his future still not decided, Adam Asnu. It's almost interesting, actually, given how he's been in the recent training sessions, to see Vincent Kompany restricted almost to having to issue instructions from the sidelines, as opposed to being in the thick of the action, where he's spent most of the training sessions constantly interrupting play if he doesn't like something, willing to get that close-up view of exactly how his players are operating. And as mentioned, many of the drills have been focused on coping with a high press, coping with pressure being applied by opposing players, but then also finding in-game solutions with attractive passes that are aimed at advancing the Bayern lines as opposed to sending them backwards. Right now, this is again intricate. Iran Kunda just clipping it through. I think he was expecting Jonathan Asbjørnsen there to continue his run, and it just didn't oblige. the young Dane. A youth champion with North Zealand. Jonathan Asbjørnsen, and has been making waves in the Bayern youth setup as well. He actually made his debut for the senior squad against Wolfsburg in the penultimate fixture last season, the final game at the Allianz Arena of the previous campaign. You can see there Matisse Tell and some of the other Bayern players that have come off at half-time, spending some time taking photographs with some of the fans in attendance. Some changes being made, amongst them Sebastian Lechner coming on. Now, for many, this will be a career highlight. As a part-time footballer, it does not get much better than taking on Bayern on your own patch. And yes, it might be a bit of a bruising experience in terms of the scoreline, but it is a moment to tell the grandkids about. There's no doubt about that. Especially if you keep the scoreline respectable. And given the fact that Rottach-Egern are a 9th-tier side, 7-1 is respectable, and Bayern looking to add to it in the second half so far, unable to quite find that final pass that could prove so telling in their attempts to get another. There we see Vincent Kompany's new backroom staff. René Maric might be a familiar face to those in Bundesliga circles, but many of his staff he's worked with before at previous stations. Well, hint of a penalty, but not really enough about it with the challenge on Ibrahimovic there. He's another back from a loan spell, Arihon Ibrahimovic, the young German youth international. Spent last season on loan with Frosinone in Italy. Happy to settle for the corner there, Ibrahimovic. He said he learned a lot as a player and a person in Italy, but now he wants to make use of what he's learned on Bayern's books. He has signed a recent contract extension, keeping him on the Bayern books until 2027. Here he is with the corner. Oh, teasing delivery, and it got a touch somewhere in the mix. And it was off a Bayern player if a goal kick has been given, but there seems to be a bit of confusion as to whether it's going to be a corner or a goal kick, and indeed it was a home player that got the final touch. Keep going, score your goals. That's the message from Vincent Kompany on the sidelines. He wants more. Again, Mario Weiss called into action in Hiroki Ito on the follow-up, flashing it over the bar. But in terms of players in the second half that have come closest to scoring, Hiroki Ito now with a hat-trick of chances. I mean, this is a player that we shouldn't forget who hasn't scored since April of 2023. He only scored 2 goals in 97 appearances all told for Stuttgart. A team that have been picked apart a little bit on the transfer market this summer. Here is Irankunda turning on the afterburners. Lovely ball, lovely finish. Ibrahimovic makes it 8 for Bayern. And the first look at just what Nestori Irankunda brings to the table. The young Australian. Teeing up Ibrahimovic to perfection as Bayern moves 7 goals clear of Rottach-Egern with their first goal of the second half. Ibrahimovic won senior appearance for Bayern that came in a 3-0 win against Bochum. Certainly a gifted technician on a football, Ibrahimovic, and now Ito doesn't go for goal this time himself. A bit of risky defending there from Markus Stöckel, a man described as a Swiss Army knife for Rottach-Egern. Said the only position he hasn't played in is as a goalkeeper. Don't think he'll be needed there today, with Mario Weiss excelling despite the 8-1 scoreline. Corner direct and dangerous. Min Jae Kim, head in his hands. Can't believe he didn't find the target with a wide open header like that. An apologetic hand there raised towards Adam Asnu after a bit of a heavy fall, but quick to bounce back to his feet. It's the wonderful element of youth there that's evident in this second half side. Plenty of teenagers on display. Hiroki Ito, Min Jae Kim, and Sasha Boe. The established regulars, all senior players, and now Hiroki Ito. He wants his goal, he's still not going to get it. He's just racking up the chances. I mean, I know he's come on as a defender. Sasha Boe, after Bayern hit the bar twice in the first half, he now hits the post. Hiroki Ito, brought on as a member of the three-man back line, playing as a left winger, basically, right now, and almost a secondary striker at times, too. You've got to love pre-season, don't you? Bayern's season getting underway on the 16th of August in terms of competitive action, when they will take on second-tier side SSV in the first round of the DFB Pokal competition. They'd love to get their hands back on this season. Here's Asnu, back to Ibrahimovic, the goal scorer in the second half. Clips one in, header saved, and then a bit of a mix-up in the end between Sadat Madasseh and Nestori Irankunda. Both wanted the goal. I think Irankunda got it. 9-1 now to Bayern. And I mean, well, take your pick. Is that Madasseh's goal or Irankunda's goal? I think Irankunda might have got the final touch. And he'll want it to go down on his tally. We'll be hoping that is the first of many goals he scores as a Bayern player. Maybe not this, his debut season, but they brought him on because they believe he has a bright future ahead of him. 2 appearances already for the Australian national team. 1 goal to his name that came in a World Cup qualifier against Palestine. He says he is at home on the wings, and that he owes a lot to his father because he's also enjoying living his father's dream by becoming a professional footballer. Oh, there he gets his second. Irankunda beating Weiss to the ball. Weiss might have got caught in the process. And we have hit double digits now for Bayern. Vincent Kompany called for his players to score their goals, and they are obliging. And Irankunda, again, right place, right time to complete his quick-fire double on the hour mark. That is certainly how he would have liked to introduce himself to this game, by getting in amongst the goals. And much like the first half, after the first goal in this second half, the efforts flowing more freely. Rottach-Egern's resistance is a little less stubborn. But a reminder, their aim is to keep this tally below 20 against Bayern today. The German record title holders 33-time German champions, 32-time Bundesliga champions in the Bundesliga era, which began in 1963. One title before that. In the DFB Pokal, 20 times champions, 6-time Champions League winners. And again, they'd love a chance, at least a chance, to make that 7 on home soil at the Allianz Arena at the end of this season. There is still a long way to go between now and then. We shouldn't get ahead of ourselves. After all, this is only the first pre-season friendly of the summer. Eggern Kunda now again stinging the palms of Weiss. You can tell he really has the bit between his teeth. Scored a stunning effort in training the other day that went viral on social media. So if you haven't seen it yet, it's easy to access. Oh, Ibrahimovic sold short there. Asnu, though, does well to apply the Gegenpress. Winning the ball back for Bayern high up the pitch, reducing the distance between ball and goal when they do turn it over. Now here is Asnu, a couple of tricks in his locker as well. Looking to get past his marker. Looking for the 1-2. Neatly worked. Madassa picking up the pieces. Bayern forced to settle for the corner. Ibrahimovic whipping one in. Met by the head of Friedrich Fritz Meissner, as he's known. Rottach-Egern, again, the outlet passes are few and far between, though that's the problem. The one goal they scored was from a ambitious long ball forward that Tobias Schlichner just about made the most of, albeit with the use of his arm. Ito, oh, lovely shape on that cross. Eggern Kunda, slightly diminutive in height, but got up well there to try and get his head on the ball, though was coming from an offside position, according to the officials. Bernie, the mascot. The number 12 representing the 12th man and getting the 12th man involved, as he so often does. But they've had plenty to cheer, plenty to enjoy, plenty of sights to see and stories to tell. The sun setting near the banks of the Tegernsee, in one of the more picturesque locations in the state of Bavaria here in Germany. Ibrahimovic showing some lovely touches. Ito with a heavy influence on the game. Sacha Boe, the man signed from Galatasaray, who unfortunately had a terrible time with injuries after joining Bayern, and as a result didn't quite make the impact they were hoping. After securing his signature, just 2 appearances made by the Frenchman, who did say he was dreaming of maybe representing France at the Euros, but ultimately hopes to feature more regularly for the national team in the future. Does feel that a club like Bayern, one where everyone takes notice of your performances, so he'll be hoping to stay fitter this season, because he could stake a claim for the starting berth at right back if Vincent Kompany does want to go with a 4-man back line. He might have competition from Joshua Kimmich, but as of yet we don't know exactly how Vincent Kompany is planning with the Germany international. Noel Aseko Nkili picking up the pieces in midfield. Here is Boe cutting inside on his weaker foot, spilled by Weiss and spilled in the end. A gasp of agony once again from the Rottach-Egern goalkeeper. He has been phenomenal today. But the goal will go on the account of Sacha Boe. It won't be the most glamorous of his career. Nevertheless, cut inside effectively onto that left foot. Decent effort. Mario Weiss, though, thrown off by the deflections, threw on goal, and in the end got himself in a right old muddle. So we now have a 10-goal difference between Rottach-Egern and Bayern. They move on to 11. Tobias Schlichtner and Lukas Petzold, the two strikers coming off. Kilian Hagen coming on. Here we get a chance just to revisit that moment. And there you see the use of the left arm in the build-up. But he threads it through the legs of Sven Ulreich. And again, for a player like Tobias Schlichtner, that moment might just be the highlight of a lifetime for him. Because not many ninth-tier players, part-time footballers, can ever hope of dreaming of scoring against Bayern, but he managed to achieve that today. He is currently doing his Masters. He's a big fan of playing tennis and cross-country skiing as well, Tobias Schlichtner. And today he has the famous consolation effort for Rottach-Egern, who have some more defending to do with Iran Kunda. Oh! Almost recreating that special effort from training. Went for the magnificent, almost pulled it off. Again, the woodwork is rattled by Bayern, not for the first time this evening either. That would have been quite something from the young Australian, but already you can see why he's so highly thought of. Just incredible speed of thought, and in the end, Mario Weiss did just get enough on it to tip it onto the post. Good save from the Rottach-Egern goalkeeper. Iran Kunda wants his hat-trick, though. Ibrahimovic denied, and now a tap-in for Sadat Mudassar. Another teen prodigy getting himself in amongst the goals here. Made his breakthrough into the reserve teams at Greuther Fürth, caught the eye of Bayern. They snapped up his services, and now seizing upon the opportunity to get a goal as a Bayern player, catch the eye of Vincent Kompany. And after a host of changes at half-time, we're going to have another made by Bayern. And it is Vincent Manuba, who is being replaced by Michael Scott. Joined Bayern in 2021 from Leverkusen's youth academy. 17 years old, involved in 5 goals in 12 matches for the under-19s last season. Also scored 4 goals in the UEFA Youth League. Michael Scott, will he get his chance here this evening? With Bayern opening up the 2024-25 campaign in fine style, but we should have expected no less, given the level of opposition. This is becoming somewhat of a tradition for Bayern to open their pre-season against Rottach-Egern. And as mentioned, for the home team, the men in blue, considering they lost 27-0 last season and were 18-0 down at half-time, a 12-1 scoreline is quite respectable, actually. It might get worse, as Asnu went for power over placement there. The back end of last season, signed a contract extension, his first professional one until 2027. Question is whether he might go out on loan to gain more experience, given that he might struggle to assert himself at left back with the likes of Alphonso Davies, Hiroki Ito, Rafael Guerrero ahead of him in that regard. Lovely run, lovely cut back to Ibrahimovic. Again, there is someone in blue between ball and goal to deny Bayern. Asbjørnsen gets it back. Asbjørnsen. Here is Michael Scott. Well, looking for the 1-2. Rottach-Egern's back line were alert to the danger there. And Min Jae Kim dealing with the danger at the other end. Of course, Bayern will be going on the Audi Summer Tour to South Korea, the home of Min Jae Kim, where his presence alone is likely to drum up quite a fervor, it has to be said. He is, after all, the reigning South Korean Player of the Year. Heung-min Son had won that particular title 4 years in a row, but Min Jae Kim winning the Serie A title with Napoli and then making the move to Bayern, where he quickly established himself as the first choice centre-back in the first half of the season. Saw him take the honours as Bowie dragging it just wide of the target from range. It's worth pointing out Bayern do have a couple of other friendlies lined up this pre-season, and all of them will be available to view on FC Bayern TV+. So make sure that you sign up and get involved, because you will be treated to exclusive commentary that offers a unique perspective on Bayern in a way that traditional commentaries can't. Because we are Bayern fans first here, and very much looking forward to the new season ahead. But of course, after this game against Rottach-Egern, Bayern will take on, and I'll hold the thought because Asbjørnsen with a lovely run. Oh, almost with a delightful finish at the end of it, but the chip just nestling on the roof of the net. Going wrong side of the bar there from Jonathan Asbjørnsen. But Bayern taking on FC Düren on Sunday, the 28th of July. Düren are a side from the fourth tier, the Regionalliga. And then Bayern on the 29th of July will travel to South Korea. There'll be a few media obligations, some training sessions, and then a big pre-season friendly against Tottenham and against Heung-min Son in Seoul at the World Cup Stadium on the 3rd of August. Tickets for that sold out in a matter of minutes. 66,000 will be in attendance for that game as Min Jae Kim and Heung-min Son go head-to-head. There will be no Harry Kane and Heung-min Son reunion, though, as Vincent Kompany, the new head coach, announcing that Harry Kane, Alphonso Davies, Kingsley Coman and Daya Upamecano will be the players not making the trip to South Korea. Maybe some of these youth players that have caught the eye today might just be able to book a ticket on that plane. Bayern making their debut in South Korea, having never travelled there before. A nice intention there by Michael Scott, but didn't have the beating of his man. Noel Eseko wins the ball back well. Eseko, who also signed his first professional contract to 2026 at the end of last season. He did score a goal for Bayern in the previous campaign, but it came in a mid-season friendly, a 1-1 draw against Basel. Lovely effort from just outside the area that ensured that Bayern weren't on the losing side. They're certainly not going to be on the losing side here this evening. The football gods can produce miracles, but I don't think even they're capable of getting 11 goals back for Rottach-Egern right now. If anything, they are still in damage limitation mode, as they have been all game. But again, a 12-1 loss for Rottach-Egern, a 9th tier side from the Kreisliga of German football. It's almost a success. A few more corners to deal with. I mean, for them, it's an invaluable lesson coming up against a squad of such high quality, a quality that they are not used to facing. If they can take the lessons learned from games like this and bolster their own domestic seasons. then these types of friendlies are more beneficial than maybe many assume. They are not just here to be the whipping boys like they were last season when they lost 27-0. And they've given a good account of themselves at times here today. Corner from the opposite flank. Asbjørnsen with the flick on. Back post was Hiroki Ito. Goodness me, how has he not scored in this second half, Hiroki Ito? 19-time Japanese international. Says he's going to do his bit with hard work for Bayern. Said he's happy to play inside and out in defense, but the aim ultimately is to win titles. Markus Stöckel coming on for Leo Niedermeyer. And there's a change in goal as well. Mario Weiss with a puff of the cheeks there as if to say, my goodness, what a busy day at the office. And he gets a positive reception from his teammates, and rightly so, because without him, this scoreline would not be as respectable as it is. In fact, we might have been looking at a double the amount of goals conceded were it not for Mario Weiss. Some magnificent saves made in amongst all the times he's had to pick the ball out of his net. And yes, he's had a few moments where you've gone, yep, that's a 9th-tier goalkeeper. Spillages, slips, handling errors, but plenty of saves to tell his kids about later tonight, I'm sure. Patrick Holm is on in his place. He'll have to be sharp and on his toes, because here comes the first chance. Asbjørnsen making it lucky. Number 13 now for Bayern München. Down on the banks of Tegernsee, getting his first goal of the evening. Made a senior debut against Wolfsburg in the final home game of the previous campaign. And a tidy finish, you have to say, from the youngster as well. There's a reason he's caught the eye on the Bayern youth books. There's a reason that Vincent Kompany and his staff wanted to take a look at him. Perhaps one for the future. Of course, all of these Bayern youngsters would love to be ones for the future. The cruel nature of the footballing world is that not all of them will make it to the highest level, and certainly not all of them will make it in to the Bayern senior squad at some point in terms of making a real breakthrough. But Bayern, as we talked about at the top of the game, putting a big emphasis on the connection between the academy and their senior squad. And now Noah Eseko with a wonderful effort. Iran Kunda poking the ball through. No Eseko Unkili, as he did against Basel halfway through last season in a friendly. Getting a goal here against Rottach-Egern as well. Cheeky finish, it has to be said. But a lovely take to knock it past Patrick Holm. Rottach-Egern said they wanted to keep the scoreline below 20 for Bayern. We've got just over 10 minutes remaining, and Bayern are 6 goals shy of hitting the 20-goal mark for a second season running. Ibrahimovic, again full of trickery and technical ability. Driving to the byline, but gets no reward for it. Oh, a rare foul in what has been quite fair proceedings so far this evening. Haven't had an update in case you joined us in the first half. Right at the end of the first half, Leon Goretzka picking up a bit of a knock after a heavy foot-to-foot clash with one of the Rottach-Egern defenders, but no update on whether that knock is at all serious. I think he was able to leave the field of his own volition, walking off himself at half-time, so I don't think there's too much cause for concern. Of course, we are missing Serge Gnabry and Alexander Pavlovic today. not named in the squad for this pre-season friendly to balance out their workload, but something tells me we'll definitely see them at some point in pre-season. A few more changes for the home team right now. Of course, we will have highlights of this encounter up on Bayern's website and their various channels soon after the final whistle, or as soon after the final whistle as possible. So far, 15 goals to speak of, 14 for Bayern, maybe 15 now, but Patrick Holm makes his first save since coming off the bench. Iran Kunda picking up the pieces. He finds Adam Asnu. Asnu looking to just feed the ball with the reverse pass around the corner. Couldn't quite get the angles right on that occasion. Well defended in the end there, as Bayern again look to break down to the byline. So many positives for Rottach-Egern to take away with them, and I'm sure there are a few positives for Vincent Kompany. His first ever encounter as Bayern head coach, as Iran Kunda can't get his hat-trick with the header. Still has time to get that hat-trick, Iran Kunda. As Scott with another delivery. Asnu was there, and in the end, wide by Ibrahimovic. Seiko, one goal already. Now to turn provider. Cheeky effort from Asbjørnsen, looking for the back heel. Couldn't quite pull it off. Looking for his second of the afternoon. There is Nestori Iran Kunda. Just noticing as well, mentioned the fact that he's on for his hat-trick. He's actually not, because his first goal, which was a bit of a 50-50, was credited to Madassa as opposed to Iran Kunda. So he's just got one goal to his name and one assist, admittedly, as well. Not to mention the best near miss of the evening, as now Michael Scott fancies his chances. Only to see the effort blocked. Asnu first to the loose ball, back to Scott. Asbjørnsen wants it and gets it. Driving towards the box, finds Iran Kunda. Space out wide for Hiroki Ito, back to Iran Kunda. A little slip there from a Rottach-Egern player. A couple of red shirts in the box for Scott to aim for. Burst of pace does well. Crosses over the head of everyone in the Rottach-Egern box, though. A lot of good play with their backs to goal here from the Bayern players. In the end, they do resort to the shot from distance, given the sea of blue shirts between them and the goal. Never an easy situation, no matter how good you are. Oh, well, that's a clear penalty. It'll be waved away by the referee, and I think if this hadn't been a pre-season friendly, that might have been given. There you can see the magnificent backdrop that this game is being played to as well. There are a few more picturesque places in the world, in my opinion, than the south of Bavaria on the footsteps of the Alps. If you can visit, I would highly recommend it. The mountain air will do your lungs a world of good. The sights you'll see, the hikes you can go on. Bayern were in the mountains themselves, going up a hike just the other day. A bit of new experience for Vincent Kompany and some of his coaching staff, but it's one that they looked like they enjoyed by all accounts on social media. Oh, delicate pass. Final touch off of Michael Scott. He's normally played on the left wing, Michael Scott, but operating on the right now. Missed a large chunk of last season due to a knee injury. Seiko so tidy in midfield. Ibrahimovic, the creative linchpin. Boe, the outlet. Out wide on the right. Ito wants his goal, hasn't got it yet in the second half. The summer signing from Stuttgart. Scott, again using his pace to good effect. And right now, Rottach-Egern are about to achieve their aim of keeping the scoreline below 20 for Bayern. Admittedly, Bayern haven't quite been as ruthless or merciless as they were this time last year when they won 27-0. They had the chances to score close to 27 goals. I won't exaggerate and say they did or would have scored 27 if they'd taken all their chances. Oh, onto the roof of the net. They have been denied on occasion by Patrick Holm and his predecessor, Mario Weiss. Holm there clattering into the woodwork for good measure. But he has conceded a couple. Mario Weiss conceding the majority of the efforts today. 7 scored in the first half, 7 scored in the second. And now, as we approach the 90th minute of this game, I can't imagine we'll have time added on. And as a result, this might be one of the last chances that Bayern have to add to the 14 goals they've scored already today. Our top goal scorer for the evening, Matisse Tell, with his hat-trick in the first half. 2 shy of the 5 he scored last time around as Holmes spills, but rescued by his backline. Adin Lacina scored twice to open the floodgates for Bayern. Nuzer Mazraoui, Rafael Guerreiro, also amongst the goals in the first half. In the second, Ibrahimovic, the corner taker here, got the first. 2 from Madassa Sadat. There's another chance goes begging for Bayern there. Nestori Irankunda, Sasha Boe, Asbjørnsen and Noah Laseko. The other goal scorers is Irankunda. Disappointed with his headed effort there, and you can understand why. Tight angle, always difficult, but did have a lot of time and space to work out how to handle the opportunity. An outlet pass that did not go according to plan for the home team. Irankunda. One last highlight, perhaps, for Bayern. Not to be on that occasion. They will get another bite at the apple here. Ibrahimovic. Can he pick out a teammate? Instead, cheeky back heel to Scott. Scott back to Ibrahimovic. This is nice from Bayern. And behind for another corner. But they're going to have a chance from the set piece. 1 corner left is the message from the sidelines. Ibrahimovic clips it in. Header from Asbjørnsen goes wide, and that will be that. A successful start to the 2024-25 season for Bayern München and their new head coach, Vincent Kompany, as they produce a convincing 14-1 win against Rottach-Egern. on the banks of the Tegernsee. Matthias Tell, the top goal scorer with 3 to his name, but plenty of highlights for the near 3,000 in attendance to talk about on their travels home tonight. For these Rottach-Egern players, this might be a career highlight and a lifetime highlight taking on this Bayern team. They will take no shame in the result because they got a goal today, which is one better than the 27-0 loss they suffered this time last season. Tobias Schlichner with a moment to remember. But for Bayern, this was a convincing and comfortable victory. There could have been more goals. Vincent Kompany will find the positives, but I have no doubt he will be talking about a lot of room for improvement. We are hoping to hear from him after the game, so stay tuned for a post-match interview with the new head coach, who will give us his thoughts on the analysis of this encounter. Who caught his eye, I wonder? That's the question. I'm sure Matthias Tell certainly did in the first half. Irankunda didn't look too bad in the second. I like the look of Noel Aseko in midfield. Right now he's spending a lot of time with Adam Asnu. Another player that impressed in the second half on the left wing. But Kompany clearly saw something that he wanted to share. And this is the very hands-on approach that Vincent Kompany is taking as Bayern head coach. It's a bit of a stark contrast to Thomas Tuchel and Julian Nagelsmann, who were quite standoffish. They would offer instructions and expect them to be executed. Vincent Kompany really is taking a lot of time to not just offer advice, but he's sharing his vision, not just for how Bayern can perform as a collective, but how these individuals can interpret their own roles, their own qualities, and play to their own strengths. A lot of these young players with invaluable experiences today that they will certainly cherish in the early stages of their blossoming careers. They will be hoping it's the start of big things. There is Alexander Pavlovic, not in action today, but in attendance to see all the action. A player that was meant to be part of the Germany squad for Euro 2024, but unfortunately his dream was dashed after another bout of tonsillitis, a problem that has been causing him problems ever since he broke into the Bayern senior squad, but he has now had surgery to remove his tonsils, and the hope is that we will now get Pavlovic fully fit more often than not having to worry about his tonsils. Serge Gnabry there as well, not in action today. He scored 3 the last time Bayern played Rottach-Egern, but an interested onlooker from the sidelines this time around. Let's revisit the second half highlights. Again, 7 goals scored by Bayern, matching their output from the first half. Ibrahimovic got the ball rolling. Mudassar Sadat and Irankunda almost got in each other's way, but Mudassar got the goal in the end. Irankunda then got a goal of his own with a poacher's effort there at the near post. Sacha Boe was the next to get in amongst the goals, but it wasn't after. Irankunda went close to a second with a wonderful acrobatic effort that was well saved by Weiss, almost deserved its moment in the spotlight though. Incredible agility, incredible skill there from the young Australian, signed from Adelaide United and making an immediate impression. Then there was another goal by Mudassar. This one, a tap-in after a mix-up at the back. Jonathan Asbjørnsen got in amongst the goals as well, the young Dane. He made his debut at the end of last season before the goal scoring was rounded out by Noel Aseko Unkili. But there is the goal scorer, Tobias Schlichner, for Rottach-Egern. I wonder whose player's shirt he got. Ultimately, you've got to think anyone would have been obliging in swapping their shirts with him. But again, his goal, it will have been a consolation effort in the 14-1 defeat here against Bayern, but what a consolation effort it was, and a moment that I'm sure Tobias Schlichner will remember for the rest of his life. Signatures being signed, photos being taken. A wonderful sight as Bayern like to maintain their connection with the fans at every opportunity. It is part of the family feel to this big club that do not forget the roots. They do not forget the people most important to them, that being the fans. For now, let's take a chance to hear from our new head coach after overseeing his first pre-season friendly, Vincent Kompany.
Vincent Kompany, das erste Spiel als Bayern-Trainer. Wie
Vincent Kompany,
mit dem heutigen Auftritt?
Correctly
Ja,
pronounced.
also
How
einfach
happy are you with the performance today?
Fans hier zu sein und auch ich weiß, wie
Well,
wichtig
first and foremost, it was lovely to be here with the
aus
fans.
Tradition und Kultur, dass wir
In
am
terms of the
Tegernsee sein.
Bayern
Wir haben
culture and
eigentlich
tradition, it
alles
was great to be
gemacht,
here
was
at
wir wollten,
Tegernsee. We
in
did
diesen
everything that we
letzten
wanted to
drei
do. In the
Tagen
last couple of days,
vorzubereiten.
we've prepared ourselves
Ja,
well
eine Menge Chancen
for this
gesehen,
game.
eine
We
Menge
had a
junge
lot of
junge
chances
Spieler
today.
und
A lot
das
of
ist für
young
uns auch,
players got their chance as well. And
einfach immer gut zu sehen.
at the end of the day, it's just nice to see. Before the game, you wanted to see a lot of aggression and mentality in every training session, in every game. Did you see that in the game today? It's always difficult to say. The lads fought for every single ball and always tried to stay positive in the game, and on a day like today they can't really do more. It wasn't really just about this game and the result, it was about getting the feeling back today. We're happy that we've produced this performance, and now we're looking forward to the next one. Preparations in pre-season are about 10 days old. 3-day training camp, your first game, and where are you in your preparations and how happy are you? It's difficult to say because there's a lot of players that are still missing for us right now. Our first phase of preparations have just finished. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll get a few players back fit, and there'll be a bit of a short preparation, but then things will get going quite quickly. The important thing is that we're fit for the first cup game against Ulm, and then the first game against Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga as well. Thanks very much. And there, chance just to hear the thoughts of Vincent Kompany, because that is the correct pronunciation. You'll hear him called Vinny and Vincent as well. But a reminder, 3 more big friendlies to come. All of them will be available for your viewing pleasure on Bayern's channels. Not all of them exclusive on FC Bayern TV+, but that does go for Düren and the second game against Tottenham after the trip to South Korea on the Audi Summer Tour. Well, if that's not enough to get you excited, I don't know what is, because when it comes to pre-seasons, few do it better than Bayern, and some great games to look forward to, as mentioned. The first against Erste FC Düren, the 4th-tier side, on the 28th of July. Live and exclusive on FC Bayern TV+. Then Bayern travel to South Korea for the Audi Summer Tour. And again, live on FC Bayern TV+, you can see them take on Tottenham, the Premier League side, in the World Cup Stadium in Seoul, South Korea. And then back in London, they will face Tottenham in the second part of a doubleheader. Saturday, the 10th of August, again, live and exclusive on FC Bayern TV+. And we'd be honoured if you'd join us. Make sure you sign up in advance of those games if you haven't already, because that really is where you are going to get the best and most unique content behind the scenes that you can hope for at Bayern. Plenty of exclusive content, not just live commentaries, as well. Serge Gnabry spending some time with the fans. He wasn't in action on the pitch, but he's still happy to sign a few autographs and take a few photos, making the days of many a young fan there in red and white. We are now going to hear from Tobias Schlichtner, the
the
goal scorer for Rottach-Egern, and Mario Weiss, the goalkeeper.
Den Namen auch im Nachnamen, Mario Weiss, fast die weiße Weste. Erstmal Glückwunsch an euch.
So congratulations to you two.
Ja, Torschütze
Let's
vom
go to our goal scorer
gegen den FC
first.
Bayern. Wie hört sich das an?
How does it feel to be a goal scorer against Bayern? Yeah, it's insane. I can't really believe it right now. It's the fourth time I've played against Bayern, and you always go in with the hope that maybe you can score a goal, and now it's actually happened. It's absolutely incredible.
War denn dein Tor ganz regelkonform, ganz offen und
Was
ehrlich
your
gefragt?
goal within the rules of the game? I'll say it this way, there is no video assistant referee, so yes, it was. I think slight smirk on his face there from Tobias Schlichtner. Can you say it's the biggest highlight of your career? Definitely it is. I can't really think of many more. I've been a Bayern fan since I've been a small child, and I got to play against some of my idols today, and it doesn't get much bigger than that. Mario Weiss, how is it for you? What did you expect of yourself today, and did you exceed expectations? Yeah, I definitely exceeded expectations today. There were a few things that are still annoying me now, but ultimately it was a very positive experience in the whole. Couple of times that you produced saves that forced our new head coach, Vincent Kompany, to shake his head and turn his back on the pitch. And the Rottach-Egern head coach said, well, if it'd only be good if he could save like that every game for us in the season. But of course, it's an honor when someone of that caliber produces positive statements about your performance like that. So who have you got the kit from? Stanisic. I wanted it from Eric Dyer because he was my direct opponent for the goal, but ultimately he had the long kit. I wanted the short one, so I took Josip Stanisic instead. And for Mario Weiss, I haven't taken a kit yet, but I did get the gloves of Sven Ulreich, so I'm very happy with that.
Was steht denn jetzt noch für euch beide nach dem Spiel an heute?
What is on the cards after the game?
Heute Abend gleich, oder wie? Also wird nicht mal angestoßen mit den Kollegen?
He's no celebrations. He's got to keep going, and he's got to get back to work this rest of the week. So we've got to take down all of the stuff that they've built up here. And then we've got to prepare ourselves for the training camp in Gladbach. And the fact is, I'll be amongst the players that are clearing up. But I'm sure we'll have a few beers after the game as well. So you're going on holiday, you're going to bed. It's going to be a huge grin on my face as I go to bed today. I couldn't have expected what happened today. It's a great feeling, simply put. I think I'll be the same as Toby. I haven't really been able to soak it all in right now. I'm a little broken down and tired after the game. But maybe when he's on his holidays, Mario Weiss will be able to realize how incredible his performance was today. So that is it from the Rottach-Egern goal scorer and goalkeeper. And our sideline reporter, Martin Zettercheck, thank you for him for his efforts on the sideline with all the interviews. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, all around the world for joining us for Bayern's first pre-season friendly of the 2024-25 campaign. It was a high-scoring 14-1 win for FC Bayern München to kick off the new season. Plenty more to come on across Bayern's channels. Join us again then. James Surrogate, your match commentator. Thanks for joining. We'll hear from you again next time. Goodbye.